Well, I think with the app challenge that you mentioned to us, it was important for the kids to see that there's a process, because they only see the end product always. So if they open an app, it's a game of some sort, but they don't actually see all the iterations that before in order to make sure you get the product in the end that someone wants. They don't really understand even that items are marketed to them, right? That there's a process of seeing whether or not it's something that anyone wants. So letting them know that something's not going to work out the first time, that there's failures along the way, that they have to they have to problem solve around things in order to get to the product that they want to in the end, right? And that's even for professionals, for adults. It's not just for kids that there's going to be these failures, right? So that's really important for them to see that, for sure. And so I wanted them to see that something didn't work. I wanted them to see that that people wanted their input, like that their input has value and can make a product even better. And that can happen even now, even with a product they use now that's in its final stage. They could give input to a company and say, this would be better if this could happen, and they can obviously make changes along the way for even products that are out there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, okay. So I asked my students to look for a problem that differently abled people would face and how they could solve that problem. So they had to create whatever they could. So some chose, I don't know, creating a device that they could use a spoon and a fork if they weren't able to use their hands properly or whatnot. And so they had to think about a problem from a different perspective, think about how the world is different for different people, and then what is feasible in terms of what could we solve. But then they actually have to, because nothing exists that they want to create, they have to think about what could they create, what could they use, what resources do they have, what's realistic, right? They could build it, they could design it, they could use prototypes. Anyway, so that really challenges them to think that there's something other than what already exists in the world around them, which is really important, I think, that idea of innovation, right? Creating something new. So when I think about the creativity of children, is so different because their imagination is giant, right? As we grow older, we're constrained by what's possible and not possible. So we're always like, well, that can't happen because it's not enough money, or that material doesn't exist. Whereas these kids have these crazy imaginations, especially when they're really young. What about this? What about this, right? Whereas we would be like, okay, well, let's already see what exists and what's feasible. The kids really have an unlimited imagination. So they can create things, some of them, impossible. But then others are, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe we could look into this, right? So creating that opportunity for them to use their imagination and just allowing their brains to explore that space, because we are so much more confined, for sure.